And we're live. It's marketing to what do we call this? The Mindstate Marketing Hour. Will,
Yeah.
how
Come
are
on,
you?
you've been the host here for a while now. It should come right off the tongue there, Steve.
It does. At the wrong times. So
Yeah.
how are things going?
Hey, this is my last day in Dallas for a while. We're off to see Nana. Going to Tennessee for the next 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, man. Yeah, we got to see my mom. I'm excited. I haven't seen her in a while. Gonna go pick up the boy from summer camp. We had parents week off, which is great. So me and Mel were going to all different restaurants here in Dallas. We felt young again, and we pick up the boy tomorrow, and we're off to Tennessee. To go see the Nana and the Rocky Top, all the Smoky Mountains out there.
Well, that's awesome.
That's why I have my shirt on like this.
We're excited. So it's the Mindstate Marketing Hour, if you're wondering, and it's with Will Leach. He's the author of Marketing to Mind States. It's the practical guide to applying behavior design and research in marketing, or as I like to say, how to use science to connect with your clients. So today, our topic, Will, we've been going through a very nice, organized, deliberate topics, and today it is time. Is it time for brand refresh? Part 1. So your customers have changed significantly, especially in the past 18 months. Have you? Where's this coming out of, Will?
Well, it's funny. In the last couple of maybe a year and a half, Steve, there's just been this thing going on. Did you know? I don't know if you're in a basement somewhere where you're chained up, your wife has chained you up. There has been this like crazy thing out there called a pandemic. And, it's been funny. Actually, the last couple of projects I've been asked to work on, normally I'm being asked to work on projects that are very focused on one specific part of a business. And actually lately, hey, Alejandro, good to see you. What's been fun lately has been brands have been asking, hey, I'm not so sure if my brand makes sense with our new consumer. And they're not saying for sure if they are or not, but it came from the fact of this, right? Listen, our needs have changed dramatically. And we've talked about this, and we've done webinars on this, that people desire much greater security and safety. They also desire a lot more control. And lastly, they've been asking for more release. And I think that we adjust really quickly as human beings, right, Steve? We kind of forget that, things are starting to feel normal, at least here in Dallas and in Texas. Things are opening up. Across the country, things are opening up. But that was such a seismic shift in the psychology of our customers that still, those needs for security and control are still there. We still have massive mistrust in our institutions. There is mistrust in government, there's mistrust in media, there's mistrust in education systems, and mistrust creates, again, where does your brand fit? If you're a big established brand where other big established brands out there are having to deal with mistrust, where does your brand stand? We have lots of brand switching. We had a whole show about this one. Remember where I think the data shows us now that within the last year, over 30% of your customers have likely chosen one of your competitors out there. It's just happening because basically we're in this moment of mass kind of openness to new experiences, new everything. And so in my head, and these businesses are asking me, with all this change with the psychology of our customers, where do we fit in the human mind? Where do we fit in their mind? And should we do a brand refresh? Should we look at our brand and our products and services, our messaging, our strategies, and tweak them to fit the new realities of people who are, kind of in the world today?
So a brand refresh, that's kind of intimidating when you worked hard on in the first place, right? And then, so does that mean like maybe changing up your experience? Does that mean change your logo? What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, I use the word refresh because I've been thinking about this for a while. And if you've built a strong brand that meets the psychological needs of your customer, then you should only be thinking about tweaking your brand to fit this new reality. So I was very, purposeful in saying these are refreshes. So if you have a brand out there you've been working on, I don't think you want to change your logo because frankly, we've even talked about this, right? It's that your brand logo has meaning behind it. And back when we didn't really know what to do when COVID first hit, people were like, should I market? I'm like, absolutely. Now is your time to market because your brand creates a feeling of comfort because people have used you. What I'm suggesting is that you need to tweak what you stand for in people's minds to live in this new world where their needs have changed, guys. It just has. The way they look at products, the way they deliver products, the way that they interact with products and services, it's changed. So you got to be aware of that and modify your brand with that. So no, it's not an overhaul. It's very deliberate in this. I think it's small tweaks.
So how do small tweaks, how can we like create a more subconscious connection like you're saying here? I'm trying to think of an example right now in my head to ask you, but enlighten me, please, Will.
So I've actually broken it down to 7 steps. And they're actually pretty methodical. And you actually want to build one step to the next step to the next step. So the way that we're thinking about doing these brand refreshes in this new program that we're offering is that you can do an entire brand refresh in 8 weeks. It takes a lot of work, but basically you start off with step 1, which leads you into step 2. And we start off, like, as you would imagine, let's start off with, oh my gosh, do you believe it? Your customer. Start off with building greater empathy. You have got to reground yourself in your customer because your customer has changed. You've changed and your customer has changed too. And I think that a lot of us have been struggling with like, well, let's get a survey out there or let's just see, what they think about us. Guys, I mean, they've changed at a fundamental level. And that change may not be drastic, but given the economic, the social, the biological, kind of consequences and things that have been out there, you have to now reground yourself in your customer. And that doesn't mean expensive research. That means conversations with your customers in a deliberate way so that you can figure out how have their motivations changed, how have their goals changed. And then from there, we're going to talk about how do you modify your business to tap into that new reality, because chances are their aspirations have changed just slightly.
So you have some steps to conducting a professional brand refresh. So in my case, it'd be like, hey, Steve, you need to get a haircut now. You need to kind of start wearing button-up shirts. You can. No.
I don't see it. No, I don't think so, Steve. I think that you look beautiful. I think that you are a brand that should only tweak. You shouldn't be buttoning up. We just got to figure out for you, how do we tweak? And you need to first, and all businesses out there should be doing, is asking your customers some basic questions. And really, there's 2 basic questions you must understand. The first one is, what is their new current pain? Like the pains that people had 2 years ago in your industry have changed. For some people, it's that you became much more expensive. Why? Because they lost disposable income, because everything costs more money now. And so you look to maybe you don't have the right value. Or maybe where it used to be very easy to find your product or to go to your restaurant. Well, now today it's not so easy because people are now no longer working at an office space. So they're not going to your restaurant anymore. They're working from home. You have to figure out the new pains. And I think it's important for you to establishing what are the new, obstacles that you face in your life. And as it relates to your industry, whatever product or service that you're offering. So I think you have to reground yourself in the new pain points because of all this stuff that's been happening. Pain points have changed. You better know those again. Even if it's confirming what you already knew, Steve, it's important for you in any business out there to reconfirm those pain points. After that, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say I can handle tweaks. All right. Creates less anxiety. But when we talk about regrounding yourself with your customer, what are some examples? I'm a little dense, so help me out here.
So a real easy one would be, at least for me, if you were selling me a product and service where I had to leave 2 years ago when I had a staff on site at an office space, in offices, right? What I was trying to do was create an experiential area for all of us to kind of really engage and ideate a lot more. So the office space that I was working in I was trying to find rooms and kind of just make it more enjoyable to work there, build our team, get us really excited. Well, things changed dramatically. And no longer trying to ideate with my team and build this experience and this great place to work is no longer an important pain that I have. The important pain I have now is I have people from all over the country that I'm trying to make sure that we all just feel engaged, and then we have the ability to communicate easily and effectively. So now I'm looking for a technology solution, and the pain is really trying to make sure that we're all able to talk to each other very quickly versus emails, because emails, you forget to check your emails, and you're out for 2-3 hours and you miss out on stuff. So my pain is no longer innovation and ideation and fun area. My new pain is technology to allow us to connect. New pain, same business, same brand, but I have a different pain. So you need to know that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of examples that we did that. We started changing the way that we performed our meetings, expectations of, in many ways, we actually kind of leaped over some hurdles that we had put in our way because of the expectation of the old way, but reconsidering. So now we're producing even more videos with our clients because, before this all happened, Will, did you see yourself doing a regular live stream?
Not at all. No, of course. In fact, what I was focused on 2 years ago or a year and a half ago was how do I get on bigger stages where there's thousands of people in the audience. So I had my team trying to get me into marketing conferences. And so we were pitching to marketing conferences and things like that. That's no longer even in the consideration. It doesn't even matter to me. In fact, I don't want to do that. It doesn't make any sense for me to do that. Times changed. Technology changed, my comfort with things changed. And so if you were to pitch me right now, Steve, knowing me from 2 years ago, saying, hey, Will, I got this new service that can get you on the major stages in the country, I would look at you like, what are we talking about here? That's why we have the conversation, right?
I love that. Excellent. Great example.
Yep. Before we get to step two, I got one more on that step one though, Steve.
Let's stay there.
If you understand somebody's pain, you need to go back to, okay, so if this is these are some new pains they have, let's now still try to make sure that we understand their aspirations. And we've been talking about this from marketing to mind states. I believe understanding people's higher order goals and their aspirational goals are the key to really being able to focus people's attention and help for you to stand for something in their minds. So when you reground yourself and your customer, you have to figure out what are their new pains, but also have their aspirations shifted. And they may have shifted. You wouldn't expect to have major aspirational changes. You wouldn't expect that because people's overall goals for what they're looking for in a product. And when I mean overall goals, I mean like how it will make them feel. Those things, we shouldn't expect those to change dramatically. But you know what? You got to still be out there, because what you're going to be able to do with that, the first step is a regrounding in your customer, because once you understand their aspirations, it leads us into the next step, which would be step two, thinking about repositioning your brand. So,
all right. So we're thinking about our client different in the interaction. So now we're going to we need to tweak our brand a little bit to be congruent with the way that we're operating, right?
You may be right. So let's just establish what is positioning. There's so many definitions. You're like, well, what is a brand positioning or what is a repositioning? Just think of it this way. A positioning statement or your positioning is just the mental space in somebody's mind where you stand. You own an aspect of somebody's mind, what you stand for, right? So what you should have been doing, and you should be building your brand, not around what you want to stand for, but what your customers want. That's just good brand positioning in general. But if their goals have changed, if their aspirations have changed, then you may need to tweak your positioning to say that, yes, I too can help you in that. So what you want to do is when you're doing a brand positioning, understanding what are they looking for in your category. And they'll list them off, right? I'm looking for great value. It has to be close to me. It has to work well, etc. Those are things called functional goals. After that, you need to ask the question, why are those important to you? And when you get to why those things are important to you, those turn into higher order goals. Here's the most important thing that I want out of your company. Then you ask, why is that one thing most important to your company? And that will be so I can feel blank. So we've talked about the restaurant examples a couple of times. Well, let's say you own a restaurant and you're asking people, what are you looking for? Times have changed. What are you looking for? And maybe some restaurant patrons are like, well, it's got to be a great value now because you know what? everything, there's inflation. So everything's more expensive. So, I can't go out to restaurants as much. Got it. It's got to be food quality. It's got to be safe. It's got to be good quality food. And it has to be safe because I'm not so sure about if I feel so comfortable in a restaurant. Those things have shifted in the last, year. Now you say, why is that important to you? Well, that's important to me because if you have these things, I can bring my whole family together. That's the higher order goal. That is the big thing you should be messaging against. But when it comes to repositioning your brand, it is how will they feel if they come to your restaurant and they experience bringing the whole family together. Well, I will feel like a great dad that understands how important it is for that families together because family bonds bind forever. Whatever that is, that's the positioning you need to take in the marketplace. That's the place in the human mind where people remember you. I wouldn't expect many people having to massively change their positioning, but go through that exercise if you do need to tweak and you need to start thinking about tweaking your messaging so you can reestablish a slightly new place in the human mind.
So would I be wrong if I said that if we're reevaluating and we're going to tweak my brand a little bit to focus on the emotional impact that we could be triggering or pinging with our client would be really smart to weave in or at least bring more to the forefront, no?
It is. And that's a slightly different place than you and I usually talk. We know it's inherent in the messaging and communications, but for brand positioning, it's exactly what you said. It is getting to the emotional being, the emotional reason why you should exist for your customers. So messaging is all about higher order goal, aspirational goals. That feeling they will feel, that's about your positioning. You have to start thinking about, are we able to deliver on that emotion? And if you are, you're going to reposition your brand in a place that fits and it more aligns with where your customers want to go.
At the beginning, you were talking about how we distrust or we reconsider our connections with government or news or whatever it may be. That's also happening with the brands that we're doing. And we probably bonded, whether we thought about it consciously or not, we probably bonded with some new brands that provided a little bit of a safe haven during this past time, and we really appreciate it, and we're desiring it to continue with other brands.
That's right. And if you don't reposition your brand to be that safe haven, your competitor may.
Right.
That emotion, that desire for safety or maybe some comfort, that if somebody else owns that space, it's only a matter of time before something's wrong with Steve's company. It's just, I don't know about them, but this other company, they kind of get me. And that's what we're trying to get to is in the positioning of your brain, they just kind of get me. And we tend to keep associating with people who just kind of get, it's just like friendships, right? People who get me, they know my quirks, they appreciate and they love me for who I am. Those are my best friends. Your brand is no different.
All right. So the opportunity to do that is maybe let's address some of your offers.
That's right. So if you have a new positioning statement and if you've repositioned your brand, one of the key requirements of a repositioning is to make sure everybody in your business knows the new positioning statement. And in my program, we actually talk about how to do, these new positioning statements, right? Where we basically overlay the pain that's on top of the aspirational goal. So in our program, we actually do this. But now that you have a positioning statement and you know that emotional feeling that your customers are looking for, well, step 3 is let's talk about what your products and services. I'm not talking about marketing at this point. I'm not talking about your user experience. That's another time. Step 3 is really to focus on your offers because this is the transaction. I am handing you money so that I can feel this. So whatever that thing is, whether it's a product, a service, a program, whatever that is, it has to at least be tweaked or at least feel as if you're able to meet that desired need. So Steve, let's just go back to your idea around security. If we know that our customers desire greater security, greater feeling of safety, and you've repositioned your brand, well, the number one thing your brand has to deliver on is a product or service that gives at least the ability to feel safer. So I'm not suggesting that we blow up anything, right? You have products and services and you have programs that you offer. What I am suggesting is where in those programs, where in that product can you, and you have to look at it critically, can you be able to tweak up its ability to make your customer feel safe or whatever those aspirational feelings are? So, and let's just say it has nothing to do with that. I just can't do it. Well, then the next step, and we'll talk about that next week, is how do we start messaging to those products and services to where we can at least establish a connection, even if it doesn't deliver it when I touch it. Every time they see an advertisement, you're going to keep hitting the point that you are providing greater security. So, but anybody can tweak their product. I'll give you an example. It's one of my favorite projects I ever worked on. And I was working in the mosquito control space. So it was a product that was being offered in Brazil. And in this space, the manufacturer wanted to give as many different options as possible for homeowners in Brazil to be able to control these misters that would, kill mosquitoes in their home. And it's a really big deal, right? You have malaria, you have lots of Zika virus and things like that. So it's important to protect your family. But what we did was we found out through this research and their new fear, and they actually had a fear of security, meaning their fear was if you have all these different options for this mister, whether it's the amount of mist that goes out, when it goes out, the smell of it, of the mist, all those things could actually break down. And if one of those mechanisms breaks down, then maybe my whole unit breaks down, and therefore I no longer have the ability to protect my family. So the manufacturer thought that the person wanted more control and wanted more of freedom and have lots of different variables and nozzles and knobs so that they can actually kind of customize the solution for their family. Exact opposite happened. Actually, what they did was they said, no, I need a reliable one-button product that when I press it on, mist comes out, family's protected, because I know that will last over the long term. That's a great example of they pulled stuff out of the product. They took options out of the product, and it wasn't that much. It actually saved them manufacturing costs to where they could lower the price of these units as well. So it's an example of maybe a little bit too far, but see what all they did was they go, if my customer wants security, how can I make people feel safe? Don't give them a bunch of different levers that can break. That's a way of you can tweaking your product service. And that's a manufactured good. If you're offering a service, it's much easier, right? Because you have the ability to make changes very simple. I would think a lot more simpler than a manufactured product.
One of the things that we did, Will, when you think about picking an agency to work with you on something, there's a big risk there. What if you pick the wrong agency? And so we started thinking about, why don't we let's just do a couple of sessions together. You'll get to know the team. You'll walk away with some wins for sure. And it just reduces risk. It takes away a lot of a concern. It feels right. It feels honest. It feels relationship building. And it's been very effective.
I did the same thing. I gave basically, hey, if you want to join my program for the first 2 weeks, you're in. If you don't like it for whatever reason, you can back out. I'm okay with 100% refund. But I did the same thing. Why? Because there's a lot of mistrust out there in the marketplace and people don't feel secure with their money. So how do I alleviate that? All that was, it was, Steve, I just in my mind said, okay, I'll take on some of that risk, knowing that some people will opt out. And I changed a little part of my website. And I didn't have you guys do it. I actually did it. So you'd be proud of me. So I actually literally wrote in a sentence saying, money back guarantee after 2 weeks. So out of an 8-week program, out of 2 weeks, if you don't like it, walk away. Why? Yeah. Because I'm smart enough to realize that I need to position my brand a little bit more around making you feel more comfortable with me.
It just feels more honest, and I don't know. It just felt like, hey, we're doing this together. Yeah. I like that. All right. So this question and answer thing that we've been doing, and this segment has been very popular. So here we go. We've got some questions here. The first one is, how does market research data benefit a business?
Yep. So market research data by design benefits a business because what it does is it allows you to answer the why behind whatever's happening with your sales. That's really what marketing research is about. Certainly you can use marketing research to understand like who's buying my product and when are they buying in and what are they buying, all those types of things. What really research data does and how it helps the business is it tells you the why behind those things. And if you understand the why behind why people choose you, you can replicate that again and again and again in different ways, in different models, so that you are always going to be effective with that customer. So why is really the answer that you want to get. If you're a business, why do people buy you? Why do they like you? Why don't they like you? And marketing research data allows you to capture that, and it benefits you just so you can make better decisions.
Excellent. All these questions, they sound like complicated, but when you put it that way, it makes sense. Okay, next one. How do you optimize marketing campaigns?
Yep. I know most people think, well, we've got to optimize marketing campaigns using technology so we can pinpoint the exact person to message to, where they are, where they're at the right point in time. That is not the way to optimize your marketing campaigns. In fact, we're seeing that technology is failing us in many cases. What the best way for you to optimize your marketing campaigns is to start with the person, not a technology, with the person. And that requires you to understand 4 different things and message to those things. First, you have to understand those people's goals. And we just talked about that. Understanding people's aspirational goals will help you drive attention towards your brand and focus their attention on you. After that, you have to understand what motivates them to buy your product. There are only 9 motivations. You have to just start messaging that if you buy my brand, you will feel more successful, more safe. You'll have more freedom. You'll have more a feeling of belonging. There's 9 of these. So that's how you have to optimize. Second. Third, you have to lower resistance because there's a lot of mistrust out there. People just don't trust marketing. They're resistant to it. So what you do is you lower resistance using approach, what's called regulatory fit theory. So you message to people that either going to tell them that they will minimize bad things happening to them, or they'll maximize good things happening to them. If you write in that way, you are optimizing your messaging so that it does not, it's not being resisted. There's not such a strong resistance. And lastly, if you really want to do your customer a favor, make decisions easy. And the way you do that is to use cognitive heuristics. It's these decision shortcuts that people make rather than doing cost benefit analyses on, should I buy from Steve or should I not buy from Steve? Use a cognitive heuristic to make something easier. And one of the simplest ones that we see is social proof, meaning 10,000 people have chosen brand A. That may make it the right choice for you. Just by showing that 10,000 people or 100 people, however many people you have, by showing that other people use you, it's a shortcut to help your customers actually feel safer of choosing you.
All right. So here we are on a Friday afternoon doing what we love. Here we go. How does buyer behavior affect marketing activity, Will?
How does buyer behavior affect marketing? I'm used to seeing it the other way, right? I'm used to saying, how does marketing affect buying behavior? That's a good one. This is totally different. How does buying behavior affect marketing activities? I think what buying behavior does, it forces you as a marketer to adjust your activities. So the classic example right now would be that on your customer list, let's say if you were using, and I still work in the healthcare space where they still do a lot of mailers, physical mailers. They were devastated because the buying behavior of people has shifted, meaning basically what happened was if I was going to message and market to corporations who buy big benefit plans, the problem is that those people that used to work in HR at some building in some sort of city, they no longer work in that city. They're at home. And we don't have addresses for people that, B2B, that we don't have their home address. So that's an example of how a buyer behavior, meaning somebody no longer works in an office that you used to mail stuff to. They now work in a different place. They work in their homes. That impacts your marketing activity, which means you may have to actually call somebody up. You may have to, actually establish, an email or something like that to message to. So really, it's very simple, right? Buying behavior forces you to figure out who your customer is, where are they, when are they going to be most receptive to your message, and that's it. Because the why is marketing research, so I'm not going to use the why on that one.
But if buyer behavior, if there was ever a time it changed, it was the past 18 months. Right. So this is like exactly what we were talking about today. They've changed. They want to feel safe. They want to know that you get them. And this is the time to address your marketing activities to reflect that.
That's right. That's why I'm really big on these brand refreshes right now, because it's a very quick way of just tweaking your business, tweaking your brand identity, tweaking a couple of product services. we're doing them in 8 weeks. And frankly, if you're really, hardcore, you could probably do them cheaper or faster. I mean, and it's a great way of really just changing for the new times because your customers have changed.
All right. And the one question that's come in is like, where's Louis II?
I know. Well, it's funny because we have a new time. I think it's late. He might be on a nap because that is a very Hey,
Brent Snyder. Hey, Will.
Good to see you, Brent. Happy birthday.
Okay.
But
so
yeah,
let's talk about something that is important to you right now.
that's right. So we've now just launched the Mindstate Marketing Partnership Program. And this is in response to lots of different businesses asking me, like, what do we do now? We're coming out of the pandemic and we're in a growth slump. So this is really for those companies that are hit a growth slump. And so what we did is we designed an 8-week program where you join me every week. And basically it's going to be almost like a college class. And the idea is you're going to read some chapters from my book. You're going to watch some videos from me. And then you're going to interact with other people in the course, in the program at the same time, other business owners, to figure out how to apply some of these principles, not only in your own life, but then also in your business. And we actually have these 8 weeks. We start off just exactly what I'm telling you right now. We start off with understanding, regrounding yourself with your customer. Then from that, we start thinking about doing repositioning for your brand. From there, we move into revamping your products your products and services. And then what we're going to talk about next week are the final 4 things that we dive into on the Mindstate Marketing Program, which is going to be looking at your marketing strategy, your business strategy, your actual marketing messaging, and ultimately an audit of your entire customer experience so that you're mapping back to that understanding of your customer. So really fast program. It's really fun. We're going to have office hours. You interacted with me every week, and we get you from a place where you have a slump in growth to where we have you optimized to where you're revving up, you're getting your sales like you used to get.
So speaking of nap time, can you see Fern? She's over there napping in the corner.
Hey, all right. Look at you. Is that cool or no?
Little Fern. She's a little border collie over there going, it's dinner time, but I'm going to take a nap and be good while you do this monkey business on the live stream. All right. So next week, we've got the final 4 steps in the process of is it time for a brand refresh? Yeah. Part 2.
Part 2.
Marketing to Mindstate. It's the Mindstate Marketing Hour with Will Leach. He's showing us how to use actual science to connect with our clients. His website is themindstategroup.com. Will, is there anywhere else that folks can connect with you? Maybe LinkedIn, Tinder? Where are these places?
LinkedIn for sure. LinkedIn for sure. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's one of my things. And hey, guys, if you want to go to the Mindstate Marketing Society on Facebook, it's a Facebook group. And that's where we do a lot of posts on there. We're interacting. I'm getting more business owners in there so they can interact with each other. So the Mindstate Marketing Society on Facebook. And I may even let you in, Steve, if you fill out a 100 question questionnaire, I may let you in.
All right. Well, I'm going to be there. I'll fill it out. I'll do whatever the work is. It's my favorite time of the week, even though it's Friday afternoon when I should be out suntanning. I'm in here with Will Leach. He's the author of Marketing to Mindstate. It's the book. If you don't have this book, just do one thing good in your life. Go get this book and read it. It really changed the paradigm for me. And I apply it all the time. I even use some of it today, Will.
Cool. Well, that's what we're trying to do. Let's just go, grow some businesses out there and make a better society. So that's what we're trying to do here. So thanks for having me today, Steve. I appreciate it. And next week, I may actually show you mountains behind me. I'm going to be in Tennessee. So if I'm in a good place, you may see some mountains behind me. Who knows? And Louis won't. Well, if Louis is with me, then we're in a really bad place if Louis comes to the mountains with me.
He stays home with Grandma?
Yeah. Because Nana has a dog. We don't know how the dog's going to do with Louis. So yeah, he's staying. He's going to come with us over into the Ozarks later on in the summer, though. So maybe we'll bring Louis and you'll see some Ozark mountains here a couple of weeks from now.
All right. Well, travel safe. We'll see you next week on the Mindstate Marketing Hour. Oh, wait a minute. We got 2 comments here.
Oh,
Nice job.
Leach. There's
Is
my
that-
boy. That's Eric.
Is that your brother?
Yeah, it's my brother. He should be come seeing me, but I think he's going to Croatia. I heard a rumor he's going to Croatia. I haven't talked to him yet about this, but I heard he's going to Croatia. So I have a feeling that I'm not going to be able to see him this weekend. Hey, thank you very much, Carmen. I appreciate this. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys, for commenting, watching. Let us know if there's anything you want me to ask Will that he's not prepared for. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
That's a wrap.